what's up, everyone? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 422. We got a fun show tonight. Our dear friend Yassine Diboun is going to be joining us to chat all about his recent Masters win at the Quad Dipsea, as well as his amazing project, Move Through Darkness. We realized that this has sort of now become the annual tradition. Yassine wins at Quad Dipsea, has Moved Through Darkness. We have to bring him on the show. And he's one of our favorite humans. We're very excited to have him on. So sit back, relax, everyone. Ginger Runner Live, episode 422 begins now. Ginger Runner. Yeah! What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 422. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy Wednesdays to spend a little bit of it with us. We're excited. We have a great show tonight with the wonderful Yassine Diboun.
Yes.
We also have Kim. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Doing well. Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. We have a great show with Yassine lined up. Yassine is fresh off of his Masters win at the Quad Dipsea, and he has a project that he's been doing now annually for a couple of years called Move Through Darkness. We have a lot to chat with him about. We'll introduce him here in just 1 second. But of course, Kim, we have some business to take care of at the top.
If you are new here, come in and say hello in the chat room. And because we are live for our wonderful GR crew, if you have questions for Yassine, you can ask them in the chat as well.
Yeah, we'll try to get to as many questions as we can from the live chat. We have that little blue bar at the top of the live chat there. You can submit your questions there, and we'll actually be able to click them and show them, and everyone can see them and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool feature. We are live with the GR crew. So we've been doing Ginger Runner Live now just for GR crew members. All tiers, all levels get access to it, and then we post this publicly 24 hours later, so it's kind of a cool perk. If you are listening or watching this after the fact, and maybe the archive version, amazing, thank you. But consider watching live by just joining the GR crew. Head on over to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. All tiers get access to this live show, but it also supports everything that we do here. From our live shows, we do daily live streams, our reviews, our films, everything. It is because of the GR crew that we are able to do all of them. One individual in particular, we like to shout out at the beginning of every episode, and that is Mr. Brian Sands. He's been a longtime supporter. He's at the top tier, and he supports so many different facets of the trail running community. He himself is a ultra runner, has run 100 miles, and is training for a bunch of stuff right now. He's just a wonderful human that gives so much to so many in this community and so many communities. So we like to shout him out at the beginning of every episode. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. And thank you, GR crew. We appreciate you. Without further ado, coming to us all the way from, I believe, a couple hours south, from Seattle to Portland, the wonderful Yassine Diboun.
Yay! Welcome back, Yassine.
What's up, dude?
Thank you so much, my friends. It's good to be back. How you doing? I can see you.
You can? You got it fixed?
Yes.
Amazing.
I was having a little technical difficulties, but we're back, and you guys look great. Your studio looks great.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
365 days since I've seen you. It's always an honor to be on the show.
We should have you on more often. You're one of our favorite guests. You're a viewer favorite as well. And I will say, I was talking to my mom earlier today, and she was asking who we were having on the show, and I mentioned that it was you, Yassine, and my mom was like, I was wondering when you were going to get Yassine back on the show.
Does Mama Tashima have a Yassine crush, possibly?
I think Yassine is just an all-around favorite.
Everyone loves Yassine.
And also, it's kind of like 'tis the season. This is when we have Yassine on. People are waiting for it to happen.
It's true, man. People
wife
wait for it.
Cringing right now. She's like, I don't know him, what he's really like.
Just before we went live with Yassine, he was referencing not being able to see us. He's at a computer. This is, I think, the same backdrop that we normally see, and we always really love it. It's very professional. But we didn't realize that Yassine hadn't used this computer. Is this the first time using this computer?
No, it's my daughter's computer.
It's just very fancy.
All fancy and new. I'm used to my old MacBook, laptop with coffee stains on it and stuff like that.
So Yassine couldn't see us. He could hear us. So it was just like disembodied voices coming from the computer, but that's great. You can totally see us. It's wonderful.
Yes. And then all of a sudden it started working. So
wonderful.
Great.
Well, let's start here because we have lots to chat about with you. It's been a year since you've been on the show, almost to the day. This has sort of become our new tradition, kind of like getting into the holiday season with Yassine victory. There's so much amazingness. How's the body feeling post Quad Dipsea?
Pretty good. I mean, normal tightness and stiffness, and I will say, I think I recall saying last year at this time to you that I was never going to do that race again.
That's it.
And I think when I finished on Saturday, I think I said I'm never doing that again, and I mean it this time. So, yeah, the Quad Dipsea is, for those that don't know, it's a 28-mile course that has nearly 9,000 feet of climbing, lots of stairs, a bunch of uneven stairs up and down, tons of hills. And so, yeah, my quads and my calves are sore in many places that they don't normally get. And yeah, and my lifestyle and my job is very active. So it's like I don't get a lot of time to be like, yeah, I'm just going to take this week super chill. It's like I just literally 20 minutes ago finished running around with a bunch of kids and
Wow.
hobbling around. It's like, all right, we're going to take a hike break right now. And then leading corporate wellness fitness classes today. I had to lead a couple of those. And so, demoing, exercises was a little rough, but I honestly feel like it helps me kind of like move, kind of that movement, motion is lotion kind of thing, and
Sure.
move things around a little bit. But I also drove, a long drive to get back here,
It's a long
10-hour
trek.
drive. So yeah. But it's, I've been doing it for a long time, so my body kind of recognizes it.
It's I know the Dipsea course, we've talked about it on Ginger Runner Live a number of times. We've obviously talked to you about Quad Dipsea, and we have GR crew members that have run Quad Dipsea even this last weekend. Does it have the same sort of rules as Dipsea? So is there like different start waves depending on the age and that sort of stuff, or is it typical trail race all at once?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people ask that, and I kind of really like that idea of like the age graded. Like if you're younger, you get a little head start, and if you're older, you get a little head start. And I was actually telling my daughter about that, how she should do it some year. But the Quad Dipsea, for the crazy people that want to do that, it's just like, nope, here you go. You all start at the same time. You all are crazy. Just follow the flags. They're back. But I would love to try the Dipsea just one direction someday. In that style, because I really do like that.
Yeah, I think we've had Alex Varner on the show a number of times to chat about it. He's sort of the
he
the
knows
Dipsea
all the ins
historian.
and outs of it.
I just saw him down there actually, and he's still the course record holder. And I ran the year that he set the course record. And the cool thing about the Quad Dipsea is that you get to see everybody multiple times.
Right.
So, I felt like I was having a fairly good race, and he was on his way back. And I'm like, how are you on already? And that was the year he was just kind of on it, and he ended up setting the course record. But the community, it's always the Saturday after Thanksgiving. The community that takes part in this event is just so, that's what keeps me coming back, even though I swear it off every year. It's just like the same people. Like some guy, I overheard him talking when I passed him, and he was like, this was like his 31st time doing it.
Wow.
Next year's the 40th anniversary. And so
he's almost been doing it since the beginning.
Yeah.
That's
and it's
crazy.
so funny. Yeah, it's so funny. Like I swore it off, and then Jeffrey Stern like messaged me like right after I finished the race, and he's like, you got to come back next year, it's the 40th anniversary. And it's just like, perfect.
I think there's one thing that, truly, man, this is what we love about you, is I feel like anytime, we're very fortunate to know you, we're also very fortunate to see you race. Like we've seen you race a number of times. Hurt 100 is a perfect example. Also some races around the Pacific Northwest, but like Hurt is, I think, my first memory where you finished and you're like, never again. Like, hey man, I'm telling you right now, I am never running Hurt again. And we're like, oh wow, that must mean it's a really hard race. Next year, start line, Yassine Diboun, Hurt 100,
Yes.
You persevere, and I love it.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing about our sport, and I've heard women compare it to like childbirth, where you forget, you remember the euphoric times and you romanticize about certain things, and then you forget about how grueling it is until you're actually out there again. And yeah, so I signed up for Hurt again,
Yes.
but I pulled out.
Oh, you did?
So
Okay.
I was planning on doing it this coming January, and then yeah, some things came up and it didn't quite fit with my schedule and like other obligations I have. But yeah, it's funny that like, you know, one thing I've learned in the sport of ultra running is to never say never, right?
Yeah.
Never say never. It's like, I'm sure people have asked you like, hey, would you ever try, you know, blah blah blah, you know, Barkley or whatever. And I've learned to never say never.
It's funny because with Barkley, of all examples, that is the never.
That's your one, like never.
It's definitely the never. Well, I'm also curious with Quad Dipsea, because Quad Dipsea like appeals to me. Dipsea appeals to me, right? What I love about Dipsea, which you've already kind of touched on, is that wave start. You never know who's going to be the winner. It could be a 8-year-old. Yeah, it could be a 69-year-old. Could be anyone in between.
Right.
But it's one thing we've always heard is that it does get pretty competitive on those pretty narrow trails. You kind of have to know the ins and outs of the trail. With the quad, is it as specific? Do routes matter which way you go up? And does it get treacherous on the out and backs?
So for the quad, you have to stay on the course. That's marked.
Okay.
You can't take any of the like little shortcuts, or so that's where like course knowledge won't help you as much. Whereas in the Dipsea race, it would really help to know, like, to be like a local and to know like the little chutes that you can go down. And you see them when you run the quad as well, but
okay,
you kind of, you know, even though you might want to take those during the quad, you have to take the normal course. But even so, it does get a little treacherous sometimes, because sometimes people are coming in both directions. And there's this one section in particular called Steep Ravine, where it's just like, as it sounds, you know, it's this steep ravine going down. And, you know, if you get going too fast and there's people coming up or vice versa, you know, there was a couple close calls where I like hit shoulders with somebody that was going the opposite direction. And we were both like, oh, you okay? You know, and, you know, and a couple times I was like almost cramping up too. So it can be kind of dangerous, you know, when you're like, don't seize up on me right now.
Let's get to maybe some live questions for Yassine.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to read this comment. This comes from our Discord server, and this is from Crispin, who is a local to the Quad Dipsea area.
Bay Area, yeah.
And Crispin, unfortunately, is unable to be here during the live show tonight. But Crispin mentions that Yassine won the age group at the quad, and Crispin came in second to you,
right behind you
in the age group.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I did want to mention that because I know that Crispin really loves that race, and that was Crispin's 5th Quad Dipsea.
Yes. Yeah.
So congratulations to Crispin as well.
Congrats out there.
So Masters, you're the Masters champion. You're the first place Masters. What does that mean, and what does that feel like? Because is this your first year competing as a Masters?
No, I'm 44, and that's, I guess, become my life now. The first time it happened to me was at Smith Rock, and I was hanging out at the finish line, you know, and I was newly 40, and I was actually getting ready to leave, and I was getting into my vehicle, and I hear Renee on the microphone, "Hey, is Yassine still here? You won the Masters category." And I was just like, oh, I guess that's my life now. And I got my mug and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, the Quad Dipsea is a competitive race. It just seems like it draws more and more fast men and women every year.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, you know, I was 10th overall, and, you know, at one point I was a few slots higher, and yeah, I just really, you're in the moment. You're not really thinking about place and just kind of time and all that stuff. And then when I finished, I realized everybody ahead of me was much younger. So I was kind of nice, like silver lining to be like, oh yeah, you're the first master.
You know,
I feel good.
It has to feel good. And you know, looking back, I hate like comparing our current self to our previous self and stuff. Did you feel like you improved your time or your experience there, just on a personal level versus like full comparison?
Definitely last year, I improved my effort level, and like, just because like last year I was like third or fourth overall with like 2 or 3 miles to go, and I really dealt with some cramping and got passed by several people in the last 2 to 3
Remember that.
miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that? And it was really disheartening to be like, oh, I just put in so much effort, and like in the last 3 miles, like all these people just came zipping past me as I was just like trying not to seize up in my quads and my hamstrings. And like there was a guy last year that passed me that had like a propeller hat on.
Oh,
And I was just like, no, a dude's passing me with a propeller hat on. Like, what is going on?
just an extra like "fu" as he passes. Bye. Might as well have been a clown.
Maybe that's like mechanically doping, though.
That it like removes weight, right? It, like keeps you
Yes,
lighter.
yes. And then this year, a guy passed me in jorts, but but they were actually running shorts that looked like jorts. So.
Okay.
All right. We'll let it pass. We'll let it pass.
Yeah. But I think looking back to answer your question, yeah, I did like look back on my prior times, and I was just like, man, how did I run so much faster? My wife was like, Dave, that was 2015. Like that, like that was 7 years ago. And, it was a much cooler day like Western states or hurt or certain races, the time is so correlated to what the weather's like.
Yeah.
And so it was a little warmer this past weekend for me, constantly in like layers upon layers in the Northwest, to go down in like, a crop top and shorts and, 60 degrees and sun feels a little warmer for me than what I'm used to running in, rain jackets and stuff. So that all plays. And just, aging gracefully, I think there's something to be said for that. Like, yeah, you just got to kind of accept that, you're not going to run the same times as you used to run. And just kind of, that's what I like our sport. It's just like you against the course, you against your inner dialogue and the weather. And it's not so much against your times and or even so the people like next to you.
Has that been difficult to get into that mindset? We've had conversations like that on the show in the past with elite athletes who self-comparison or age comparison, like when I was 30 I was doing this, or when I was 20 I was doing this, and now I'm not touching those times. There's like a realization that age is happening constantly and we're always changing. So what's your mentality been like? How have you been able to sort of get on top of that?
Yeah, I've definitely fallen into that, like, man, I don't know why I'm so like my splits are so much slower, and I kind of like internalize that and kind of beat myself up sometimes. Like, I put in all this work, why, but then, I really have come to just like change my perspective on that and my mentality around that. Like, I've run so many miles and so many races, and I literally have had minimal injuries and do this year after year. I mean, first of all, I get to do this. Like, I always remind people that like our lives are so good that we have to pay money to do this, and so it's always good to like really shift that perspective and to come back to like, just an attitude of gratitude, really. And that's, I think really the quad is like that because it's right after Thanksgiving. Everybody's, grateful and, coming off of, being with friends and family and just giving thanks and, just realizing that like, this is a luxury problem. Like, oh, I'm sure I'm like, I was 7 minutes slower on that lap. It's like, it means nothing, really. It's just, so yeah, a couple people were like, saw me in the race and they're like, every time I see you, you're smiling. And, I try to really feed off of that energy. And that's what I like about those types of courses where you see people a lot back and forth, is like you giving out these good vibes and you're also receiving it at the same time. And even though there were many times where I was almost crying, I do try to like, yeah, good work guys, and like, just give that same at Hurt 100 too. I've stopped many times and, give somebody a pep talk or hug somebody and, smile, even just a smile or, good job. And there were a bunch of locals there too who were really chatting it up with each other as they passed each other. And you got to be careful with that because it can take a lot of energy too. Constantly talking and cheering each other on.
Yeah.
After 3-4 hours, you need oxygen too.
I mean, I think that also goes back to one thing we really admire about you, Yassine, is that as long as we've known you, you've not only been a runner and a racer, but you've been a supporter of so much, whether that's volunteering and
Yes.
being aid station captains and like East Wolfpack showing up and being one of the best aid stations at any event that they're at, whether it's costumes and theming or whatever, but you are always there supporting others. I've had the great fortune of making a movie with Yassine called Behind the Run, which follows Yassine's story, which we've talked about on the show many, many times. And it's on this channel. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But I remember we were talking about this before. When we got together to film, I drove to Portland and joined you and your daughter cheering on hundreds of other runners during a race, because that's just what you did. Like, you were like, yep, my daughter and I do this every year. We come out, we cheer people on, and it's like, that's amazing that you are giving so much energy and positivity to so many. It happened on Wonderland. It happened
It's
just so much,
Yeah.
man. This is what you do, and it's what you are
It's
known for.
fun. It's fun. I love it. I mean, my wife always jokes that she's like, "How did we end up together? Like, you're so extroverted, I'm so introverted. You would love to go dress up in a costume and stand out in the woods and cheer runners all day. I'd like to stay in a dark room and read my book." But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just really a great environment to be in. And, like you said, Farah's grown up in this environment, and, she, we go out to our garage sometimes and just like laugh with all the costumes that are out there. This is ridiculous. Like,
Anytime we see a new, like, hey, East did a costume themed aid station, it's not like a costume you've used before. It's some brand new extravagant, like, tuxedos with chocolate at mile 60 of something. You're like, what are they doing? It's crazy.
we got to start recycling some of these.
Just like repurpose them and
Repurpose.
make them into something else.
Yeah.
I feel like in the ultra community, it's like Yassine has this big collection of costumes, and Gretchen Walla is the other person that I think of when I think about costumes. She has a whole thing.
Hey, Gretchen, do you have a costume that's... Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do.
The answer is just yes.
Her aid station game is on point. I've seen a couple of them, and I was like, okay, all right. I like that. Baywatch. I saw like a Baywatch themed aid station.
Yeah.
Take it away.
My favorite thing is the costume store. One time, it was at the end of the season, and like the manager came over to me at one point. It was just like, "You need help with anything?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm good." And he's just like, "What is it that you do?" He's like, "I see you in here all the time."
You're like, well, I've got pictures here. Let me just show you.
It was classic. Yeah.
You should just been like, I can't talk about that.
Yeah, I can't talk to you about it. You'd have to sign a document, and we don't have that.
So we've been talking about community and how great you are at building community. And we have a question and comment from Brian Fagundis in the chat. And Brian says, Yassine, you inspire me so much. What have you learned about creating and growing community in Portland that you think can translate to anywhere in any town?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's just another thing that I'm so grateful for. And I just, you just take so many things for granted sometimes, right? And I was talking to a family member who lives on the East Coast, and we just got into this they live more like rural, and we just got into this discussion of like, oh, like, well, you got this awesome community in Portland, and like, I don't have that. Like, I don't have people to run with as much, and I just feel like where I live is really conducive to the trail running community, and what we've created is just fortunate for me. But yeah, I heard some guy, it was a TED talk recently, talking about, like, see if I can reiterate what he said, but he basically said, if you want to have like a happy, full life, he's like, do these 3 things. Like, 1, hyper oxygenate your blood on a regular basis, preferably in nature, which check. 2, what did he say? 2, oh God, now I'm blanking on it. Hyper oxygenate your blood. Oh, keep learning. Always continue to learn. He's like, if you don't, like, your brain is gonna like shunt, energy atrophy kind of thing. And the third, which is more important than the first two combined, is create community. And I really think, like, no matter what it is you do, like, we're social creatures and we need to have that. And especially we realize that, during the pandemic
Yeah.
too, where, we were told to isolate and we were told to, stay home, and, and everything is on Zoom. And, I even had a meeting today and like the person just never turned on their camera. And I'm just like, it's just like, come on. It's just become so the norm to just, not connect. And it's acceptable to not connect and to work from home and to not cultivate that. But it's, in our core, deeply embedded in our genome as humans, I feel that we're social creatures and we need to form that community. And so the culture, or the ultra running and the trail running kind of, community that we have really provides and ticks so many boxes for us. And
Yeah.
so, like, just the simplicity of that, I'm just so grateful for. Like, I just fell into it, when I changed my life when I was 25. And I think that was something I was always searching for in my prior life, of like partying all the time and going to music festivals and going to raves and going to bars and hanging out. I did get a lot of that in my past life, right? And that was just a much less healthy environment, and it was not really authentic. And for me, like now, this is such an authentic, a real thing, and healthy, and it just so, I mean, some people might say it doesn't sound very healthy to run 100 miles, but in general, I would say it's just much more fulfilling for me.
It's like so much beyond just the mileage, right?
Yeah.
There's so much deeper meaning behind everything that you do, and you've done so much, not just for the local culture and the local Portland area trail running community, but beyond that too. I mean, you're racing all over the world, but with that, you bring that energy, that positivity, that love and support for so many people. It's a really wonderful thing. It's why we love you so much, Yassine. And despite not having you on the show for a year, I feel like a day hasn't skipped. I feel like,
oh yeah,
I look at your face, I'm like, man, why aren't we hanging out every day? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we haven't missed a beat, but
yeah,
it's like, I just miss you, you know?
yes, likewise. I know. I might have to come up to the Tiger Claw.
No. We don't want any Portlanders running a Seattle race. You know for a fact we would have you in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Yes.
We would do anything in our power to get you up here.
I don't know if I answered Brian's question though, but I would say, this is something I told Debo too when he was talking about like his business and all this stuff. And basically I said, build it and they will come. And so the main thing is like, hey, and you probably know this too with what you all do too. It's like, it's all about like putting yourself out there, and like sometimes it takes time too. Like we started our group run like over 10 years ago, and we started these classes, and like there's so many times like nobody came or a couple people came, but really the whole idea is just like keep putting it out there, keep putting yourself out there, keep reaching out, and that's how you start cultivating that community. Volunteer, hang out. We have a woman that's been helping us out too with our kids things, and she just moved to town, and she just was like, hey, I just want to volunteer, I want to help out, I want to meet people. And she's put herself out there, and then she's meeting people, she's plugging herself into the community. And it's I realize it's easier said than done for some people. Some people aren't as social or as open to do that. So I realize that, but hopefully that answers your question a little bit more, Brian.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And yeah, you've definitely put a huge target on Portland as being the epicenter of trail running culture and community. And it's such a wonderful community there. But this is a great sort of transition into your next project, which is something that I believe this is the third year with Move Through
Yes.
Darkness.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
just speaking of bringing people together, and especially for such a good cause, can you kind of give us the rundown, those who maybe are unfamiliar with what Move Through Darkness is, when it's coming up? Because I know it's here very,
Yeah.
very soon, but kind of give us the premise, because it is it's a beautiful project.
Yeah, thank you so much for supporting it all 3 years and getting the word out about it. But so I help out. I helped start this arm of the Alano Club called Run TRG, which stands for TRG stands for the Recovery Gym. And the Alano Club is a nonprofit that provides all these outlets for folks in recovery from substance addiction. So they house meetings. They have all these different programs, and they started a CrossFit gym, which is amazing. It's just like this state-of-the-art gym. It's free for anybody that is in or seeking recovery from substance addiction, and it's just like this healthy outlet for folks. It's and so we were like, we got to start. Me and the executive director Brent Cano, we got to start this run club type thing. And so 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, we started it, and it was very bare bones. It started with literally like a track workout on Tuesday nights and a Friday night happy hour trail run. And that's where it started. And again, it just was like slow build. And we had a core group of people, and then the pandemic happened, and it, like everything else, got shut down. And one of the guys that was part of that core group ended up taking his own life, and that was really heartbreaking for me and for us. I literally was like gonna go running with him, and next thing you know, I was at his vigil, and that just kind of gave me this like impetus to do something, because like for me, I thought he was doing okay. Like he, and it was just like, you don't really know the darkness that people are going through. Like they present themselves a certain way. And so I was like, we got to start this back up. Like people are dying. Like we need to get this going. We're outdoors. And so through the pandemic, we started back up the Run TRGs. We added more offerings. So we do Tuesday nights and Fridays and Saturdays, and we got all these different events that we do. And so to even take it a step further, because that's what I do, I said I wanted to do this like overnight run to like raise money and awareness for anybody that might be going through dark times, and to raise awareness about substance addiction and mental health awareness. And so basically I was like, what I was trying to think. Dark. Oh yeah, where I live, it's dark. Pacific Northwest, actually, this time of the year. And so I was like, and I'm an ultra runner, so I'm used to running through the nights sometimes in these long races. So I kind of sought out like some of the darkest, longest nights of the year, which happened to be in December. And I organized this route and this project where I start at sunset and I run all the way till sunrise. And it's called Move Through Darkness. And it's, it's just kind of a metaphor to like, and you've done 100-milers, you've done events, Kim, too, where like you go to these dark places, right? And it's like the way you get through that is you keep moving through it. And it's like where people get into trouble is where they sit in it and they don't move through it. And so, it gets difficult on these long nights. It's like a 14-hour run,
Yeah.
And, I just keep going. And eventually, it starts to get light out, and it's a beautiful thing. And folks can join in for like segments of it. It's really broken up really well, where like, there's like, an 11-mile section folks could either ride their bike or run with. And then there's like a 5-mile section. And there's like another, like a 12-mile loop around Sauvie Island on flat road that people could jump in on bike or run. I do some track running in the wee hours of the morning, so anybody can join in. And like last year, my business partner Willie, he made a bunch of pizzas and came out in the middle of the night and brought some Dr. Pepper and things like that. Yeah, it's been great. And so basically, what I ask people to do is pledge $1 per mile. So whatever my GPS watch says at sunrise, the first year I think it was 66 miles. And so people can donate $66 if they want. They can donate less or more, and it's all really appreciated. But it's just kind of a fun thing to attach to and be like, all right, let's see how many miles we can get in this allotment of time.
Yeah.
And it just also just brings everybody together. And so what happens is all those funds too pay for all these different programs within the nonprofit throughout the year, or that it like helps offset them. And so we now have like this core group. Every Tuesday night we have 10 to 20 people at the track doing a workout.
That's
and
awesome.
Like people come up to us all the time. They're like, what group are you? Like, can we join? I'm like, are you an alcoholic or an addict? But people want to join. And so it's anybody that's in or seeking recovery from substance addiction. And, whatever that means to you, we're not like super hard sticklers. Like, it's just another great way to connect. And it's been a very successful program, and I'm just proud to be a part of it. So we have like a website that explains more about it. It's on whyeastwolfpack.com, like Move Through Darkness. It's on the Connect tab of our website. But yeah, if you want to check it out and pledge to donate, or come on out and run some miles with us, or you can bike some miles, or just come out and cheer, and that'd be awesome.
I mean, I remember the growth of this. So year one, it was you and like one other person?
Yeah, so there was just a few of us the first year, and then my buddy Mike Grant, who he's one of the coaches too. He leads some runs. He ended up doing his first 50-mile run that night.
That's right.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Just an awesome.
I was so proud of him, and like, yeah, it was so great to share that with him. And I just remember like being on the track with him when he was just like, all right, 50. It's like 49.99 to 50.
And
he's
that's
just
it.
Like, and I'm done. Yes. But yeah, and last year it grew even more. We had a whole entourage of people running, and it really makes it go by a lot quicker too, because people jump in and tag out, and then of course like 3 or 4 in the morning there's not that many people. But last year there was like a handful of people going out all the way till sunrise.
That's amazing.
And my daughter comes out in the morning and ends up running the last few miles with me and our dogs, and it's pretty cool.
It's such a great project, man, and we've just loved seeing it grow. And you're doing so much. We're talking about community tonight, right? You couldn't ask for a better pillar of a community that's building so much for so many that need it. For people in recovery, or having dealt with addiction, you're building a community there, and you're building a reason to belong to this community. And with Why East and all the people and youth that are now engaging in running and endurance running and long distance stuff, it's just a beautiful thing, man. We love to see you continue to grow and contribute to so many different lives in such a positive way.
I appreciate it.
You're amazing.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I think, it's a real epidemic here. And I'm sure it is in Seattle too. It's really sad. And, there are times where I'm just like, God, like, should I just move? You know what I mean? It's like, and I can see why people are just like, I'm out of here. Like, this is not safe. This is not cool. Like, and I can totally see that. And this is, something I've gone back and forth with, but, mostly I've come to the conclusion of like, do I want to be part of the solution or part of the problem kind of thing, and it's like easy to kind of be like, no, I don't want to see this anymore. I'm out. Or do I want to try to do a little something in my little corner that I can try to help improve? And I think if a lot of people try to do little things here and there, that stuff is cumulative, so that's kind of what I chose to do with my life. And I just was like, you know what, like I said in the movie Behind the Run, it's just like, this is my life. I'm an open book with it, and I'm just gonna try to use my time and energy to try to help. And in turn, it helps me stay sober. It helps me. It fulfills me in other ways. Um, you know, so there's just, yeah, it's tough though, because, you do end up going to funerals, and you do end up going, to just seeing people relapse, and it's, the majority of people don't get it, but there are so many stories where you just see people latch on to it, and you see the twinkle in their eye, and you see them have this like spiritual experience and
Yeah.
grow, and it's just amazing. And I always just invite people to have their own experience. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And those are just the people that you yourself are seeing and interacting with. And I'm sure that, you doing the video with Ethan and you being so open on your social with your story, I think has helped so many more people than probably you may even ever know. Right. And I did pop the link into the live chat as well. So
Oh,
if people
thank
want to
you.
check it out, they can go. We've already got people pledging.
Oh,
So that's
thank
great.
you so much. That's so awesome. Yeah, I definitely get people that message me, like DM me, or like come up to me and say like, "Hey, like, really appreciate your story." And so I have to thank you too, because you have such a platform as well to like share that, and I think to transmit that to a wider audience. So kudos to you, because like I've said before in the past, like, you are doing your part and having me on as a guest talking about this, making the video about this. That is huge. Like, that is, so helpful. You potentially have saved lives. And, people that are out there right now that might be listening to this, that, are struggling, it's like, yeah, man, we all have problems. It's like, I'm not Mr. Positivity all the time, and Mr. Like, oh yeah, like, I love my life, like, you know what I mean? I'm a human, right? And I struggle, and I have to practice like the mindfulness, and I have to practice like changing my perception and acceptance, and reaching out to people, when I'm struggling. And so, I don't have it all figured out, but if you are struggling with substance addiction, and, or mental health, and, I would say reach out, connect. I think connection is a big answer to that.
You've been such a inspiration and education for me, Yassine. Like, I think working on that project with you, we had lots of discussions before we made that project, just making sure that the Ginger Runner platform was the right platform for it, and real honest conversations. And I think I learned a lot more about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, and what having a platform meant. And I think just over the years, we've really matured in the sense that I want to leave something positive in this world, right? Like, legacy is so important, and I want to make sure that we are influencing people for good, all good. And telling your story was the least I could do to help get that type of story out there, because I think it needed to be told. And you were such an incredible, open person to share that there is no doubt the number of people that you reached and helped is probably immeasurable. But just since that experience, I really took a lot from that experience with you. And I feel like it shaped the trajectory, I think, of where we are now, just, with the channel and what Kim and I really believe in. And it really does come down to what are the things that we can do in this world that are positive change. And a lot of that stems from you, man. So we really appreciate who
Thank
you
you.
are and just what you've done for so many, for so long. I mean, real talk.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't mind ending the show with a bit of real talk with you. It's just
Yeah,
what you are and what you do is so great. So projects
nice
like
to
Move
hear
Through Darkness is wonderful, man. Wonderful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words.
Do you the link that's in the description, do you mind just saying the link? It's wyeastwolfpack.com. Was there like a specific backslash? Move dash through dash darkness. So it's wyeastwolfpack.com/move dash through darkness to find out more information about this project. Yeah, and there was a live question.
Yeah, I just want to read this comment really quick from the live chat from Ryan. And Ryan says, I've gone back and watched the Behind the Run episode multiple times when I'm going through rough periods. And Meg also says, this has me reflecting on celebrating the solstice. We stay up all night waiting for sunrise. It's similar using the longest night to celebrate and honor the wonderful, powerful thing that is hope.
Nice.
And then just one last question, from Brian. And Brian says, as it's all too common these days, I have lost friends and family to addiction and suicide. How can folks like me be allies and support folks in the darkness?
Yeah, I mean, if you know that these folks are in the darkness, I mean, it's easy to just be like, hey, you know, if you need anything, I'm there for you. But you know, taking action, I think, is always is louder than words, as they say. But yeah, just trying to direct people to different sort of organizations like this. I think, you know, a lot of people are like anti-religion or anti like 12-step, and I think that's why this program for us has been so effective, because it's not attached to anything. It's just like, hey, the door's open, you don't have to pay anything, you don't have to be attached to, you don't have to go to any meetings, you don't have to, you know what I mean? And so that, I think, drops a lot of people's guards. So I think having these different options and just, you know, showing continual support, you know, for me, my own story, like people talked to me for years, tried to, you know, coax me into doing this and doing that. And the hard thing about this is like, sometimes it's against the grain of wood, but sometimes you have to let people that you love and care about just run their course. And that can be very difficult, you know, if you're trying to be an ally to somebody, to just like let them continue on their path. But yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of people, and sometimes you just have to let them keep drinking because they have more research to do, I guess, until they're ready to make a change.
We are always very honored to chat with you, Yassine, because you have been so open about all aspects of your journey and what you're doing for the communities that you are building. And we're just really appreciative of your time, man. And can you remind people where they can find you on social and stuff like that to follow specifically around this project? Like, are you going to be posting to Instagram or YouTube, or is there going to be videos or anything? Like, let us know.
Yeah, so I can't believe how quickly it's coming up, and I appreciate it. It's on the night of December 10th, which is not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So at sunset. And my Instagram is at my first and last name, so at Yassine Diboun, and then at East Wolfpack, and I'll be sharing it across both of those channels and doing, you know, live updates and stories and all that stuff. And again, you know, anybody that's in the area, that's welcome to come on out for any or all. Yeah, I can't believe how quickly it's coming up.
Yeah. Well, we hope you trained, because it is definitely a long effort. Yeah, after Quad Dipsea, I'm sure your legs will be just rearing to go. For
it's rest mode till Move Through Darkness.
We're so honored to have you on, man.
No, the honor is mine. Thank you so much. And like, let's not let it be another 365 days until we see each other.
Agreed.
Like, let's do something. Let's meet up. Let's make it happen. Let's, like I said, I'm in the Hard Rock lottery, and I have 128 tickets. So I'm like, all right, if I get picked in the Hard Rock, I'm coming up to do the Tiger Claw. All right.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, Tiger Claw is perfect Hard Rock training. It's the same. They're both the same, basically. It's
oh my god.
It's actually harder than Hard Rock.
Yeah.
We're keeping our fingers crossed.
Oh my god, 187 tickets. How?
128, I think.
This needs to happen.
I don't know.
Let me make a phone call to Hard Rock.
Yeah,
I'll just Yassine needs to be drawn. That's amazing, man. And yeah, you have the invite to Tiger Claw. I know you'd love it.
Yeah.
It's just so fun. And yeah, you definitely have the invite. Our wonderful guest has been Yassine Diboun. Thank you so much to him for joining us tonight. We just love having him on the show. And yes, let's make sure it's not 365 days.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him up to Tiger Claw. maybe many
There's
of
a
you
lot of
will
requests
be joining us.
in the chat for Yassine to be at Tiger Claw.
Tiger Claw sort of become GR Crew Con,
Yeah.
where the GR Crew like comes together, and it's this amazing community weekend. Yassine possibly being there could take it up a notch.
Next level.
The date is May 12th and 13th.
The second weekend of May.
Second weekend of May. There's 2 days, and we'll announce why here very soon. But it is a 2-day thing.
Okay.
So keep it. We'll plant the seed, and
Nice
hopefully it grows
early
into a
season.
tree.
I like that. It's an early season event too.
It's like perfectly timed to get you ready for States or Hard Rock or Cascade. Like it's kind of perfect for Cascade. That's sort of the plan of it.
Nice.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
That, my friends, wraps up Ginger Runner Live episode number 422 with the wonderful Yassine Diboun. Of course, before we wrap up the episode, we do like to recognize members of the community that go above and beyond. We call it our GR Crew Member of the Week. Kim, who is this week's GR Crew Member?
So I actually picked 2 GR Crew members, but I did already mention one of them. So Crispin was one of the GR Crew members that I had chosen this week. And of course, Crispin did his fifth Quad Dipsea.
Yeah, he's on a roll too.
Yes. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to Justin Newnham. And Justin took first place in their division for their trail race series in Iowa. And it was the No Coast Trail series. So congratulations, Crispin, and congratulations, Justin.
Congratulations to both of you. Thank you for being such awesome athletes and members of the community. We appreciate you. Congrats on being this week's GR Crew Members of the Week. That's going to wrap up today's show. Again, we thank you so much for being here live. If you are a GR Crew member, if you are not, consider joining. All you got to do is head on over to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. All tiers get access to this live show every single week. Plus, we have daily live streams that we do for $5 plus. We do monthly live streams, music live streams, a whole bunch of fun stuff for all different tiers. So consider it if you haven't already. That's it. Get out there, train hard, race harder, part of the hardest. I know I am. Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Bye-bye.